Have you ever noticed that some of the first people to push back on a change initiative are usually some of your strongest employees? The people with the deepest expertise? The people who know the business best? The people leaders usually trust when things get complicated. And yet, when a major transformation begins, they're often the first ones raising concerns, the first ones asking you the difficult questions, the first ones challenging assumptions. And unfortunately, sometimes they're also the first ones labeled as being resistant. I've seen this happen time and time again. A leader presents a new initiative. Someone in the room raises their hand saying, "I think we're missing an important piece here." Or, "Have we thought through the downstream impacts? How will this impact the other teams?" And almost immediately, the room gets uncomfortable. People shift in their chairs because many leaders take it personally. They get defensive and they treat it as opposition. Concerns seem negative to them. Pushback comes as resistance. But what if we're getting that wrong? What if some of the people we call resistant are actually the people trying to help us succeed the most? Today, I want to talk about the first signal inside the resistance decoder, intelligent resistance. The resistance that says, "I see something you don't," and why learning to recognize it may be one of the most important leadership skills during transformation. Hi, if we haven't met before, I'm Tina Code, founder of Change Decoded. I help leaders, just like yourself, navigate transformation through a people-first lens because throughout my 15 years in business, playing different roles, both big and small, I've learned something simple. Organizations don't transform. People do. Resistance isn't usually the problem. Resistance is information. And when we stop treating resistance as something to eliminate and start treating it as something to understand, we become much better leaders. Today, we're taking that idea one step further, because not all resistance means the same thing. Different forms of resistance communicate different messages, and intelligent resistance is often one of the most misunderstood. Before we dive in, if you're leading change inside your organization, I've created a free change agent toolkit to help you identify signals, gaps, and opportunities that may be impacting your adoption. You can download it using the link in the description. Now, let me paint a picture. A transformation project is underway. The project team has spent months designing the solution. The leadership team is excited, the roadmap had been approved, the launch date has been set, and someone raises their hand. What happens if this impacts our busiest season? Or, how will this affect the teams downstream? Another one might be, what contingency plans do we have if adoption is slower than expected? Someone in the back says, "We've tried something similar before. What have we learned from those experiences?" Suddenly, you feel the energy in the room shift. Someone starts thinking, "Here we go again. The team's just resisting." But are they? Or are they doing exactly what you paid experienced people to do? Because expertise changes how people see change. Experts understand complexity. They understand dependencies. They understand risk. They understand what happens after the PowerPoint presentation ends. And because they understand those things, they often see challenges before everyone else does. To me, that's not resistance. That's pattern recognition. One reason intelligent resistance gets misunderstood is because intelligence doesn't always come across sounding supportive. Sometimes it sounds inconvenient. Sometimes it sounds uncomfortable. And sometimes it sounds like someone questioning a decision that's already been made and starts to get us defensive. And that's often because they're seeing something others haven't considered yet. Inside the resistance decoder, intelligence resistance is defined by a simple message. I see something you don't. That doesn't mean that they're always right. It doesn't mean every concern is valid. But it does mean their perspective deserves exploration, because buried deep inside their question may be expertise, overlooked risk, operational realities, or lessons learned from previous initiatives. And if leaders dismiss those signals too quickly, they may also dismiss valuable information. This might be one of the most important ideas in today's conversation. Not every concern is resistance. Some concerns are intelligent. Think about the kinds of comments we often hear during transformation. There are risks we aren't talking about. Have we thought about the downstream impacts? I think we're missing an important piece here. This timeline feels unrealistic. Those statements aren't automatically signs of opposition. To me, they're signals. Signals that someone is applying experience, context, and critical thinking. The question leaders should ask isn't, how do I get this person on board? The better question is, what might this person know that we don't? And here's where things become dangerous. Because when leaders repeatedly label intelligent feedback as resistance, something predictable happens. People stop speaking up. That employee who once raised risks starts staying quiet. The other people in the room also start recognizing and go quiet themselves. That subject matter expert stops offering insights and disengages. Those experienced team members have determined it is safer to stay out of the conversation. And eventually, leaders mistake silence for alignment. But silence isn't always agreement. Sometimes it's disengagement. And by the time the risks become visible, the people who already had seen them coming have stopped talking. I've seen organizations spend months solving problems that someone had identified in the first meeting. The warning signs were there. They had the expertise in the room. The insights had already been offered. The leaders just weren't listening. In my free Change Agent Toolkit, linked in the description, I give you cues to look for, as well as real-world recommendations for next steps to help you decode the information your team's resistance is providing. One of the reasons I built the Resistance Decoder is because every resistance signal requires a different leadership response. For intelligent resistance, the response isn't persuasion. It isn't applying more pressure. It isn't telling people to get on board. The leadership response is simple. Just listen. Not because every concern is correct, but because listening allows you to determine which concerns matter. Listening creates space for expertise. Listening uncovers assumptions. Listening surfaces blind spots that you may not have thought of or seen. And sometimes, listening reveals that very thing that prevents a transformation from failing. And isn't that what we all want? The goal isn't to let every objection dictate the direction. The goal is to learn from the information being provided, because the people closest to the work often see things that leaders don't. Whenever I encounter resistance during a transformation, I take a step back and ask myself a simple question. Am I hearing opposition or am I hearing insight? That question changes the conversation. It moves leaders from defensiveness to curiosity, from assumptions to understanding, from reacting to learning. And more often than not, curiosity reveals something useful. One of the biggest mistakes I see leaders make is assuming that support looks like agreement. It doesn't. Sometimes support looks like asking the difficult questions. Sometimes support looks like identifying risks. Sometimes support looks like protecting the organization from mistakes that haven't even been made yet. And sometimes the people we label as resistant are actually the people paying the closest attention. That's why intelligent resistance is the first signal inside Resistance Decoder. And honestly, my favorite one. Because before we manage resistance, we need to understand it. So, the next time someone raises a concern during your change initiative, resist the urge to immediately classify it as resistance. Instead, ask yourself, what might this person be seeing that I don't? That single question could change the quality of your decisions, the strength of your relationships, and also increase the success of your transformation. If this resonates with you, subscribe to the channel and download the free Change Agent Toolkit using the link in the description. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever been labeled as resistant when you were actually trying to help? Or have you ever discovered that that so-called resistant employee was right all along? Until next time, resistance is information. Every response to change is a signal. The job of a leader is to decode the message. And I'm here to help. Let's decode change together and lead change inside and out.